Welcome back to another video in our Iceland series. This is our second video, where we are driving the entire ring road. Over the next couple of days, we'll be exploring the south of Iceland, probably the most popular region. This is where you will find waterfalls, glaciers, canyons, and black sand beaches. So, join us. Let's begin. Today is a big day for us. We have a lot planned, so we woke up early to make the most of it. We want to see waterfalls, glaciers, and maybe even do a couple of hikes. So yeah, let's get going. After about 45 minutes of driving, we got our first glimpse of what was waiting for us. This is our first stop, and our first waterfall. It's not the biggest waterfall we'll see today, but for us, not really used to waterfalls like this, it already feels huge. Está bien padre. We really don't recommend coming here without waterproof clothes. Justo detrás de la primera. Ahí está detrás. There is also a second waterfall hidden inside this small cave. Driving in Iceland is part of the experience. You can really go that fast, but on the bright side, it gives you more time to take in the landscape. Ya llegamos a Skógafoss, es la segunda parada del día. Está lloviendo un poco. Pablo tiene aquí su protector de cámara, que le da miedo mojarla.
Me da miedo que se moje porque esta cámara no es waterproof.
Está muy increíble el paisaje aquí también. Aquí está justo este pico enfrente de nosotros, que se ve muy increíble. Allá también se ve un glaciar o montaña nevada. Aquí vemos algo que está nevado y pensamos que es un glaciar. A ver, zoom. Ahí se ve. Para allá vamos. That is Skógafoss. When we arrived, it was a bit crowded. We wanted to be here earlier, but we also don't like rushing things. That's always the trade-off. Skógafoss looks incredible. It's one of the most powerful waterfalls in Iceland. You don't just see it, you can also feel it. The stairs next to the waterfall have a little over 500 steps. It sounds like a lot, but it's actually not that bad. Ir al mirador aquí de Skógafoss. Hay varias escaleras. From the top, the view completely changes. This is also where a longer hike begins, leading deeper into the highlands. On sunny days, the mist often creates rainbows, and today we got lucky. Over there is where we're heading. The name of this glacier, let's just say, is way too difficult to pronounce.
Continue for 4 kilometers.
Getting here requires a small detour from the ring road. And this road has a lot of curves. But honestly, that just makes the drive more fun. We are really excited because this is the first time we're getting close to a glacier. Llegamos a la tercera parada de este día, de este day trip. Primera vez que vemos un glaciar.
Es la primera vez que venimos en este viaje a un glaciar y en nuestras vidas.
En México no hay glaciares. Este glaciar es muy famoso porque es negro, dicen que por la ceniza volcánica. Frío. Fun fact, glaciers aren't just frozen rivers of ice. They move slowly but constantly, shaping the valleys around them. Sí, decía.
Se ve increíble, me gustó mucho y tomamos muchas fotos.
Ya acabamos la visita aquí al glaciar, cuyo nombre vamos a poner aquí arriba, aquí. Ahí se puede ver todavía atrás. Y vamos a ir a la siguiente parada. There is a lot of driving involved in this trip, and right now we're heading to a really popular spot to see puffins. We have never seen puffins before, so we have zero idea how big they are. The name of the place we're visiting is also difficult to pronounce, which is a common thing here in Iceland.
Estamos en una península en donde vamos a ver puffins, ojalá.
And those were the only 2 puffins we saw. They are really small and really easy to miss, but once you spot them, they are impossible not to watch. After that, we continue exploring the peninsula, looking for more views. We drove all the way to Vik to stop at Iskronan. We hadn't really had a proper lunch yet, and we were also running out of groceries. As you can imagine, groceries in Iceland are not super cheap. One thing that helps is buying local products. That is why we're basically surviving on skier. Pasamos al supermercado y nos compramos un montón de groceries porque casi no hay restaurantes aquí en Islandia. Esto es lo que vamos a comer hoy. Fueron como 130 euros. Compramos unas galletas tipo rol de canela. Este sándwich costaba 8 euros. Skyr de limón, esa marca nos gusta mucho. Tenemos de diferentes sabores. Y una manzanita porque tenemos que comer fruta. After lunch, we headed to what would be our last stop of the day, before driving to the campsite. We are at the famous Reynisfjara, or as people like us prefer to call it, the Black Sand Beach. Allá estábamos hace rato, es donde vimos puffins. It is almost sunset now, which is funny, because the sun never really sets. We've been having daylight 24 hours a day. Hay mucho puffin. Ya terminamos de recorrer la Black Sand Beach. Vamos a ir ahora a un campamento que está un poco alejado aquí de Vik, que tiene vista a un glaciar. Y ahí vamos a dormir. Nos tocó una luz muy bonita del atardecer, que aquí no atardece porque no hay noche, es verano. Before heading to the campsite, we stopped to get gas. We recommend doing this before a long drive, since gas stations can be far apart along the ring road.
Donde está lloviendo muy fuerte y no se ve nada hacia el horizonte, está completamente vacío. Más bien eso es nuestra bolsa de snacks.
Back on the road, we realized we were driving through the largest moss field in Iceland. We had no idea this was part of the drive, so even though it was a long one, it never felt boring. After a little over 2 hours of driving, we finally reached the campsite. We chose this one because it's right next to the glacier we'll be hiking tomorrow. It is actually pretty late, even if it doesn't really look like it. So we're going to keep it simple. A quick dinner, a shower, and then straight to bed. And now it is time to go to bed. Tomorrow it's going to be a big day. Nuestro cuarto día, y avanzamos un poquito más en el ring. Es el primer día que está lloviendo y hoy vamos a ir a hacer un hike en un glaciar.
Y pisar un bloque de hielo gigantesco, literal.
Esperemos que el clima mejore. We woke up early to make it to the meeting point. Luckily, it's right next to our campsite, so that made things really convenient. Once we arrived, they gave us all the gear we need. We're finally on the surface of the glacier, so it's time to put on our crampons. We'll spend about 2 hours here, just walking around while the guide gives us details about this glacier.
Biggest ice cap. I will tell you more about it later. Do it like this, yes? But I like to add this.
To be honest, we booked the easy accessible option because we didn't really know how difficult it would be. Turns out, the easy option is really easy. El campamento después del hike en el glaciar estuvo bien padre. No grabamos tanto porque en los tours guiados es un poquito difícil.
Nos hicimos una pasta boloñesa con zucchini y un cóctel de naranja.
Una pasta instantánea, todo lo que traemos es instantáneo. Es esta auténtica pasta italiana y sabe igual.
Está muy quesuda.
Continue for 41 kilometers.
We've been driving for about 50 minutes and it feels like this whole area is surrounded by ice. We're close to the largest ice cap in Iceland after all.
Continue for 2 kilometers.
Ya llegamos a la siguiente atracción del día, que es un hike en aquel cañón que se ve por allá. Está muy sorprendente. This is where the hike begins, and we are really looking forward to this one, because it feels like hiking through another planet. Creemos que tenemos que llegar hasta este punto de aquí para ver la cascada que se encuentra ahí detrás. allá se ve nuestro coche. Hemos caminado todo esto. Desde lluvia no se necesita. Mejor me lo quito. Pensamos que ya hemos llegado, que este es el final del hike, pero es hasta allá.
Estamos casi hasta el final, pero no es aquí.
Es allá, ese punto. Así llegamos. Venimos desde allá. Allí está el parking. And finally, we made it. This is the view we were rewarded with. We had never seen a landscape like this before. This is one of those moments where you don't really know how to describe it. We finally finished the hike, which took longer than we expected, so we prepared a quick snack and recharge. There is still a couple of places we want to visit before heading to today's campsite. And to keep today's icy theme going, our next stop is Iceland's famous ice lagoon. Estamos intentando fotografiar focas, que hay bastantes, pero se esconden. We made it here just in time for sunset. It is summer right now, so there isn't as much ice floating around as you might imagine. The amount of icebergs varies with the seasons and the weather. These icebergs break off from the glacier over there. Just a few meters away from the ice lagoon, you will find what people call the Diamond Beach. And just like at the lagoon, because it is summer, we don't expect to see that much ice today. Seeing the clear ice against the black sand is what gives this place its name. ¿Qué tal está?
Muy frío.
Ay.
Es un hielo.
Sin hielo. And just like that, we are entering the final stretch of these 2 days in Iceland. We are definitely starting to feel tired. It's been a full couple of days. But there is one last thing we want to show you. This is today's campsite. Está muy increíble, tenemos vistas muy bonitas.
Probablemente es el campsite más silencioso en el que hemos estado.
Pensamos que íbamos a estar aquí solos, pero sí hay unas cuantas campervans de este lado. Está muy bonito. Vamos a ir a explorar un poquito y después haremos nuestra cena. It's time to cook dinner. The menu tonight is pretty much the same as the past few days, just a different pasta flavor. This time we decided to use our camping chairs. Eating inside the van hasn't been the most comfortable, so staying outside in the cold for a bit longer doesn't sound too bad. These past 2 days have been full of driving, waterfalls, glaciers, and hikes. And even though we're tired, we feel like it was really worth it. Iceland is the kind of place that constantly surprises you. And it makes us really happy to know that this is only the beginning of the trip. So stay tuned for more. And if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. That will make us really happy. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.